Come on up. What's your name?
My name is Devon.
Devon, where are you from?
Born in Atlanta, raised in Mississippi, and now I'm back in Atlanta.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It's a great city. I'm
love
loving Atlanta. What's your best fit type preferences?
My preference is INFP.
Okay. So we're talking about stifling, restriction. What's coming up for you? What's your question?
So I wanted to kind of hone in on the point of growing up in a certain context, because as an INFP, I personally grew up under two thinking types. My mother was ESTJ and my father was INTP. And now as a husband and father, and my wife is here now with me, who is a fellow feeler. Figured that would go a little better. But it's just trying to understand and live in a way that I can be more comfortable with my FI, be more comfortable with what my hero is meant to be, and not so much living in, I think, what I would call a shadow of following my mother's TE hero or my father's TI and trying to blend those things together. So I was just wondering if you had any kind of advice around that.
Yeah. You might ask how old you are?
I'll be 33 next month.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So what I hear you asking is advice is it to give yourself permission or ways to really bring out your feeling function?
Yeah, I would say ways to bring it out, because I would always, as an INFP, express it inwardly. My inner world is very, very vivid and very fun for me. But I guess it's being able to live outside with it, especially with my wife, who's ENFJ. I see she wants to kind of experience that inner world as well. So I guess I would look for ways in which to express it and bring it out instead of keeping it in.
Yeah. Okay. So then if I'm patterning this correctly, you were raised with two thinking parents that weren't very friendly to you expressing your introverted feeling or authenticity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or at least not giving space to it. It's never really looked for it, I guess you could say.
And so you learned to keep it to yourself.
Sure.
Okay. And so now you're an adult and you're like, I can do whatever I want to. Right.
Right.
And I'm going to marry an ENFJ and we're going to be feelers together. Right.
That's right. Exactly.
And she's like, okay, so let's be feelers together. And you're like, right. Okay.
It's like, I know how to do little TE chores.
Right. Yeah. I guess I'll do the dishes.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
So are there any practices you have right now that really express your introverted feeling or authenticity?
Well, I'm an artist, kind of dabbling, drawing and trying to get into writing, especially writing, because I think that would be a good avenue for expressing those types of things. And I've actually, the few times I've written things and, people would read it, people actually responded really well to the thoughts I had and the expressions. So I guess it's just a matter of being in practice with it, because I think it is so comfortable to just keep to myself. And when I'm disassociating or just in my own room by myself, just, I'm being me with me, that kind of a thing.
Yeah. And that's all you really need, right? Oh my goodness, as somebody with ENFJ preferences, when she's like, tell me how you're feeling. You're an INFP, you should know, right?
It's like, I know, but I don't know how to tell you all the time.
That's right, exactly, right. Yeah, how do I put it into language?
Right.
So I would say definitely keep with your practices of expression and don't marginalize them. Don't make them a nice to have or something that is just, this is a thing I do on the side. When it comes to introverted feeling or authenticity, figuring out ways to express it to almost create a time capsule. Like, the beautiful thing about introverted feeling or authenticity is that we call it asynchronous emotional communication as opposed to extroverted feeling or harmony, which is in the moment, right? It's two people vibing with each other and you're having a feeling back and forth.
Yeah.
Introverted feeling or authenticity can bind the emotion in like a time capsule and have it go through time, which is why we can watch or look at a piece of art from somebody who painted it 200 years ago and still have an emotion evoked inside of us because they sent a message from the past. They had an expression of emotion and they put it into this, and then we observe it and then we get an expression of emotion, and it's totally okay if it's not the same one, right? They were happy to be able to express what was going on for them and have some form of communication that will strike something in another person. It doesn't have to be the same one, right? And so it's an emotional communication over time. This is one of the reasons why it's totally fine for you to have your emotion all by yourself, because it's not real time. It doesn't have to be in the moment with another person vibing with them.
Yeah.
You can just have it and then put it in a time capsule and then go away and throw it into almost like throwing it into an ocean as a message in a bottle. And maybe someday somebody will get it, right?
Exactly.
Okay. All right. But if your wife has ENFJ preferences, her feeling is super in the moment, right? It's like in the moment, real time, vibing, and the way that that function understands emotions is by connecting, right?
Yep.
She understands. I'm assuming I'm going to speak for you, right, based on your type preferences. So tell me if I'm off, right? But she knows what she's feeling when she's telling you, and you're telling her, right? In the conversation, that's where the emotions like start to become clear, when it's being articulated, when it's being understood in real time. So part of the let's feel together is you actually have almost diametrically opposed feeling styles, which should be taken into consideration, right? It doesn't mean they're incompatible at all. It just means that they have a very different way of showing up. So a piece of this is meeting each other halfway, right? Going, it's hard for me to fully express my emotions because they're so deep and complex, but I will try.
Yeah.
Okay. I will try to put language to them. And if she has ENFJ preferences, the nice thing is that she'll have introverted intuition or perspectives as her co-pilot. So she'll kind of be modeling it and kind of like, is it kind of like this or what's going on over here? Right.
I see it in real time sometimes.
She probably is more articulate about your emotions than you are.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a feature, not a bug.
Right.
Yeah, and what's going to happen for you, by the way, is that you're going to want to process your emotions like alone or not with people, right? You're going to want to go and actually process these yourself, work on them, and find out what's resonant with you. So, I mean, I'm ENFP preferences.
Yeah.
It's hard sometimes for me to be. I often know what I'm feeling, but I need to express it through performance or some other avenue than articulation. Like the articulation, I have to like go around and find it and all of this. So.
Sure.
I mean, one of the things that's coming up for me is, are there other ways to express emotion when you're in the dynamic with your wife that doesn't include articulation specifically? Have you guys tried these things? Like, I mean, that's weird to ask, but like, like other ways of expressing, I mean, you could pull her in for a kiss,
Maybe
that could, but the point is, I mean, like other ways of expressing yourself. Have you thought of this?
Maybe slight touch on the shoulder, things like that. But typically, I would try to improve the verbal communication of it, or what she even suggested is, hey, like, stop the chaos, take time, say I need 5 minutes, that kind of a thing to process and then come back. But no, I haven't really explored outside of just verbal communication.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you want to play with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of feels weird at first to do it.
Yeah.
But I think, there's ways to basically, like sometimes when I'm trying to communicate an idea and I'm having a hard time articulating it, I'll actually stand up and I'll be like, all right, I'll pretend like I'm this person that's acting this out. And I'll say that to somebody, like even Antonia, I'll be like, I'm going to embody this for a second. I'm not coming against you. I'm not actually believing this. I just almost need to perform it. And I get in a state, I get angry. I try to find the emotion expression, almost like I'm play acting, and I let the person know ahead of time.
Yeah.
I'll let Antonia know because otherwise I learned this the hard way. I started doing that without letting her know. And she actually thought I was in that emotion or that expression.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting because it was like, sometimes for me, I don't know how to get the emotion out until I start just emoting. Oh, that's not it. Oh, that's not it. Oh, that's not it. And I'll actually go through play acting with myself in front of other people to figure out what I'm feeling.
Oh.
I don't know. I mean, mileage might vary. I don't know.
I'm willing to try it for sure. So I like acting.
You know what I think we should do?
Yeah.
I think we should have you go sit down and bring your wife up here since she's here with you. Ask her about her side of it too. What do you think?
Well, you can stay.
You can stay. Actually, yeah, you can stay up here with us. Yeah. Well, give her a hand, everyone. Come on up. I hope you were willing to come up. What's your name?
Absolutely. Anything to help.
What's your name?
Happy hero. Latasia.
Latasia, and obviously
Latasia.
you have ENFJ preferences.
Yes,
You're
ENFJ.
from Atlanta, Georgia originally too?
Yeah. Well, no, originally from New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then we moved to Atlanta together, actually. So
You married a
to
Southern
get married.
guy.
Yeah. So
Cool.
there you go.
All right. So from your perspective, what's going on?
Well, one thing that I thought I could point out that would really kind of like tie this whole throttle thing together is that we both actually grew up under STJ parents, or STJ mothers to be specific. So, and my mother happens to live with us now. So it's really interesting, just our dynamic and like how I see in real time us kind of going through this like process where we are growing and, you know, coming into ourselves and everything like that and figuring out who we are, just not under that kind of shadow of, you know, that extra developed TI for me, TE for him, and everything for has to have an order. And, you know, we have a 2.5-year-old son, and seeing my mom interact with him. And it's like, oh, you know, this is when you know, you can't get up from the table and eat your food over here. You have to sit at the table, and this is the order, and this is how it goes, and this is how we do it. And, you know, going to visit his mom, and she's an ESTJ, and she's like, don't run in the house. And we're like, let him be, as long as he's not hurting himself or anyone else. Like, let him find himself and grow and bang and, you know, figure it out. But all of that is to say that we did grow up under that, and we were the ones hearing that at some point. And so that kind of like stifled us. And, you know, I noticed before getting married that or I can't say we, I'll say me. He had his own life before we got married, but that the way it expressed itself in me is that like, I'm the only extroverted feeler in my house. I have 3 siblings that I grew up with in the house and my mom. And I wanted to kumbaya and let's all sit and watch a movie or do something together. And that's not their jam, you know, respectfully. But
only extrovert.
Yeah, I'm the only extrovert, and only intuitive. Anyway, you can almost go down my whole stack, and I'm almost all of them. The only person in my house that had those functions or preferred those functions. So all that's to say that, yeah, I know how it I pulled back. I wasn't running up to say hello to the people that I wanted to go and say hi to in the streets because, oh, we don't do that, and it's not proper and you look desperate or whatever it may be, and just like different ways that it manifested and the way that I kind of grew and looked forward to marrying someone where I could be myself. And that was kind of how I coped a little bit too. And like you said, now you're in it and it's like, be a feeler and open up. And it's like, oh, wait. And we're going through it together though. We're like, you know, coaching each other almost, where it's like, hey, you know that I'm a safe place. And this is me talking. I'm a safe place, and come and do all the feeling things that I always imagined. And I can see that he wants to, and, you know, we both, because I have my qualms with it as well, but like that we both kind of like pull back and push in and pull back. And I think we even have on our mirror written, for me, always lean in lipstick as a reminder for him. Those are the little things that I've tried. I'm going to wrap it up, but just to add one more thing too, is that I notice it showing up in him that everything is TE almost. It's like he does try other things. He'll do the dishes. I'm pregnant now, and he'll, you know, get me as many waters as I want. And, you know, he's really into
from CVS tonight.
Exactly. He'll run out at 1:30 a.m. and all of that. Like everything is very practical. And I want the poems, my love language, even words of affirmation and quality time. And I want the poems and everything. And he did that. And he continues to do it. I just see the struggle. Yeah. So it's not a question. I mean, you kind of brought me up, but like it's really like a full circle thing that we're seeing in each other's lives dynamically. In and out. We'll grow, and then we have a struggle period and grow. And, you know, it's just, our lives kind of interesting.
First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's lovely. So I suspect you're gonna be fine. No, seriously. And here's just a couple little comments to make the trip a little easier, because I think that this road that you're going down together, I think you clearly are so supportive and so delighted to have found each other that I think you're gonna be just fine. ENFJs move at a faster pace than INFPs. So it takes a little longer for an INFP to kind of, especially if they've had to really sort of, I don't know, like, I don't want to use the word ice themselves, but like it takes a little while to thaw. Okay. And to realize that this is a new norm. You're using extroverted sensing or sensation. That's a function that turns on a dime. Okay. Even though it's your 10-year-old or tertiary, it's still very fast moving. It's like all you needed was clarity and you're off to the races. Introverted sensing or memory, which is your 10-year-old or tertiary function, it takes time to acclimate. It takes a little bit, to just kind of go, oh, this is the new norm and get used to it. So your pace is just going to be faster, but I think you're going to be okay. The poems and all of that made me think, and this is something you could consider, right? But it has to be authentic to you. I understand. Right. So one of the things that Joel started doing, and you didn't mention, you're like, have you tried other expressions? But you didn't give a specific. So I'm going to do that now.
Please do.
Okay. Every once in a while, I open up a book I'm reading and the bookmark is a love note from Joel. Aww. Right. Or I'll open up my my makeup drawer and there's a little note from Joel, and they're really short. They're just like, I'm delighted to have you in my life. Or I know, right? Brownie points. I wish I was more of an FJ because I'd be like, oh, and so I'm like, that's cool. Right?
Give me a fist bump.
That's right. Cool. Good job, right? Way to know. Right. So I don't do the right, but I'm like, yeah, cred, man, that's awesome. Nice. So, but there's little things like that. It's like basically what it is give yourself permission that when you feel it, write it down. Right. And then
that's the trick.
Yeah.
That's actually the trick. Yeah. I don't do it when I don't feel it or think about it. When I think about it, I take action immediately. Thank you for saying that.
And he's smart. He batches it. So when he feels that way, he writes like 7 of them, right? And then he hides them over time. And it feels like he's doing it all the time, but I'm pretty sure he's batching the work, right? But it's smart. It's super smart, right? I got to give him props. So it's like when you feel it, just give yourself permission to write something down really quick and just sort of leave it, right? It doesn't, and it can be. So that's the message in a bottle. That's the asynchronous part. It didn't have to be said in the moment, but it was said and left for her to discover. And that's kind of more of an introverted feeling way of doing it anyway.
And she loves those mementos anyway. She collects everything I've written and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's a perfect idea.
So little things like that are okay. So when she goes, what are you feeling? You're like, right? That's okay, right? She'll be patient. She'll be like, is it this? Is it this? I'll put all this language to it, right? And you're like, yeah, it actually is kind of like that. Right. That's fine. You're not failing, okay? And over time, you'll probably pick up some stuff. And then you'll get a little better at identifying and articulating the specific things. But just be patient. Give yourself time. I have a feeling you're giving him time, right? Yeah. And I would just do those little things, those little when you're thinking about it, when it's authentic for you. Leave a message in a bottle for her to discover.
Yeah.
I like that.
All right.
Thank you. And congratulations.
Give us their billing address for the counseling.
Thank you guys.